Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody, and we are back with Lucas this week. Maybe a extra recording day later because somebody was not able to make it.
It was Dan.
Eh,
It was not me.
No, it was definitely the boy who has to eat a shoe. We have a lot to talk about today. First of all, we're going to do a tier list specifically for Portland because we are all going to Portland, and I think that will be fun. But before we get to that, there's a very important thing. Uh, Unfortunately, it's not happening right now, but somebody said that CYB was terrible and would not even top an event at Worlds. I think the opposite ended up happening. And I also want to point out that we do have banned stuff to talk about. And the stuff that got banned might also have been CYB as well. So that's pretty interesting. So, again, when I tried to warn people a lot of episodes ago, and everyone told me I was an idiot, I just, maybe, future, kind of pay attention. But Lucas, how you feeling after knowing that you have to eat a shoe?
Yeah. So, hi guys. I know you guys all missed me very much, but I'm back. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I did say CYB sucked. Now I have to eat a shoe because I said I would. So probably next week, maybe the week after, I'll figure out some way to appease everyone and fulfill my contract. But yeah, I mean, I've just been chilling for the most part for the last few weeks. Not really doing anything. Just been settling in. Um, Working on some content stuff. Hopefully, I've been listening to Cody. Sound like me since CYB One Worlds. Just all on his his high horse, thinking he's better than everyone just because he was right about one stupid card that's not even that good. That won Worlds because people are bad. But you know, anyway. I'm doing all right. It's good to be back. I'm excited for Portland and for the tier list that we're gonna make.
And Dan, you're outside of all of this drama. Uh, how has your week been of not playing Flesh of Blood and only playing the Bazaar?
Yeah, it's been a great week. I think. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I play too much Bazaar, and I'm worried I will now never stop. It was good though. I played one day of Flesh and Blood, one armory in total, and that went great. I hit all of my ancestral harmonies, so I won. Except it wasn't an armory; it was a 5th anniversary event, so no cold foil, but I got an armor.
Cool. I have been playing some LL. Played a little bit of Zen again. Prepping for Portland, obviously.
You mean Chain?
No, I played some LL, and then I've also played.
Oh,
some
Portland.
Zen.
My bad.
Yeah. I am worried about Chain and LL, but we did get some bans for both formats. I guess we can start with talking about those before we get
Oh
into the tier
yeah.
list.
I guess I should also probably talk about my worlds because I didn't get to last week. But I'll do that when you ask your
We
next
didn't talk
question.
about ours the other. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Oh really?
No,
No, we just talked
we
about
just talked
Zen.
about we talked about Zen and talked about. See, you don't even listen to the podcast if you're not on it. You listen to every podcast that he's on himself, just to listen to himself talk, but he doesn't listen to any of the other podcasts.
I want everybody watching to know that he is absolutely 100% correct. I totally listen to everyone that I'm on, and I might skip some of the other ones.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the bands. So we saw our band list came out, and I don't think anyone was surprised by what we saw. Blue CYB got banned, following the same vein like they do before. And then also High Octane got banned. So
Yeah.
anything to talk about here? Anything?
Not
shocking?
really, right? I mean, everybody knew
Well,
High Octane was getting banned, right? I mean,
the thing to talk about is that they like Count Your Blessings, and
yeah,
it sounds like it will return.
yeah. The actual ban announcement is worth talking about. What got banned is not super interesting, but
Oh yeah, no,
James,
they both just needed to happen.
yeah, James White had this line in the ban announcement that was like, "We think that Count Your Blessings Enigma is what control should look like in Flesh and Blood." Maybe it was tuned a little bit too much, but they like where that's at, and I saw him get a lot of flack for that, which I didn't really understand because I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Like the way that the CYB Enigma deck works, where you have a really bad early game and then you get better as the game goes on, and you kind of just try to not necessarily like outlast your opponent exactly, but you set up this endgame that's not quite deterministic, and there's a lot of counterplay for both the strategy and the specific cards that are allowing you to do that. Like you can play, Talisman of Cremation and Poison the Well for CYB, or you can just try to craft an endgame that can deal with all the spectral shields that she's going to make. And so I actually really like the CYB Enigma deck from a design standpoint. If you want to give people a control deck, I think maybe it gets away from where it should be a little bit when all it does is block first cycle. In an ideal world, I think probably you would see a little bit more play through the middle game. Something like in Ice Hero historically would be what would be doing that. These control decks that are seeking to outlast your opponent and get better as the game goes on, but actually play the game a little bit in between is probably what control should look like in FAB, if that's what they like about control. Just blocking and gaining life with CYB is obviously not super interesting. But I do like that you have to set up an end game, and it's not just like free and then you get fatigued and then the game's over every single time. I think there's enough.
You don't though.
Nuance.
You don't actually have to set up an end game.
You don't have to set up a super complicated end game, but like
yeah.
But I mean, like there is counterplay to the end game though. Like there are things you can do.
I also don't think that CYB Enigma is very weak in the early game.
It's weak compared to like
where
other decks in the game. Like it's weaker than Viscerai for the first 3 turns of the game, right? Like
yeah, but not so much that it's like a real detriment that you have to really claw back from.
Yeah, if you were trying to win the game normally in a lot of these matchups, I would say it is.
Oh yeah. But if you're just blocking, then like you're still getting great value at the beginning of the game.
I mean, you have to play the first couple counter blessings, right? I mean, that's the like downside.
If you go first or second, a lot of these are free. Like they're not costing you anything.
Yeah, it's not a huge cost, but you are definitely worse than the other heroes for the first few.
Block 3 cards set a count is like completely fine. Like
I mean, it's like very behind anything anybody else can do. You get to catch up because of the 0 for 4D reacts, and because of cards like Essence of Ancestry a little bit, which I'm not sure if Gregor's was playing in his finals list. I haven't actually looked at the lists, but cards like that let you go above rate on defense can be a little bit tricky, and like they can kind of break that. But I actually like Count Your Blessings design in a deck that's not just blocking and fatiguing.
I like it new a lot.
Yeah, I just think it gets away from itself a little bit sometimes when it's completely boring. When all you're doing is blocking, it's boring. But like you said, I think it's really cool and new. You can kind of touch on why it's cool.
New kind of does what a control deck I think in the game should do. It's too strong, like as far as like disrupt you ability, but when you're playing it with CYB, it feels like you're playing a real control deck because like you're disrupting them, so you're being proactive, and your whole goal is to be proactive the whole game. You're just using the CYB package as like a way to get to more control and something to do when
it's
you've
also
controlled, and something to extend the game with so that you can continue to play all of your cards.
It's also a way for you to take advantage of the game going long, which is like kind of what James was talking about in the announcement, is like you are getting better as the game goes on, even if that's not just because your opponent's going to die because they fatigue. Like with new, you can like really see it where it's like we were talking about, like you're a little weaker in the early game because you have these Count Your Blessings. But if you're a deck that's making the game go long and you succeed, you get that payoff at the end because you get these, 2 card, 2 cost gain 8 life instants that are really powerful.
It's also like New's problem is if they just open with like a really good turn, you feel like the game's over already. Like if you just get blown out by like 15 to 20 health, you're just like, well, I'm just going to lose all this chip while I'm controlling them, and I'm probably going to lose. But like with CYB, even if they have like a hot start, you're like, I can come back and then start playing the game again. I think that is much more in line with what a control deck should look like. Again, I think some of their control aspects of just rip cards out of your hand is a little bit too strong and not how I liked it like to have the game played against me. But I don't think Enigma is how I want a control deck to look. New is how I wanted to look, proactively playing and then using this package to go late and get more advantage. Like I like that.
I think that like Icelander and CYB New are the best and like closest examples in FAB of like what a controlled deck should look like if it's going to be super heavy on the control. Because we see decks like Oldhim and Jarl now, and like Lexi, for example, that like have some control aspects and like can be that, but they are still just normal decks. Whereas like CYB New and Icelander really feel like most of their value is coming from disruption.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't think Icelander is like a reasonable control deck at all.
I'm not saying balance.
I think it's like way overtuned. Okay.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
like
Yeah, what are you talking about? How it plays. How
like
it plays
what
the
they
game.
do is what I would like control to look.
Sure. Yeah, because like my reaction to the posts, my immediate reaction was like, oh God, how can they possibly think this? I hate CYB. But then I actually thought about it and I was like, yeah, when the alternative is like Oak and Old, make you discard 2 cards, or like Siren's Call, make you block with a thing. I'd much rather have the control decks like doing some bluffing and like healing a bunch sometimes. Like that's fine. I don't know. To me, CYB feels like in roguelites or like deck builders, like the Bazaar. You know how there's like you have like different like events that like check your deck for a certain thing.
Yeah.
CYB to me feels like it's like checking, does your deck have the package or the tools? Which I think is okay. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I mean, we talked about this when CYB came out, right? It's like this. It's like very similar to like Kano, or I made the Mystic Mind comparison from Yu-Gi-Oh, where a lot of the time it is just like you have hate, no, you might die. You have hate, yes, you're chilling. And they kind of alluded to that.
I don't think it's just hate though. Like it's also like the way you build your deck. I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
the
just
fact
how
that we
you.
had 3 Cosmic Awakenings in our deck just meant like we were like free rolling all of the
Yeah,
CYB
or like if you
decks.
have like Sledge, right? Surely that's pretty good into CYB. Just swing that the whole game.
Yeah.
And now I do like the theory behind CYB Enigma when it actually plays out in theory, which is I want both of our decks to be 20 cards, and then I will play my 20 cards against your 20 cards, and my 20 cards are better because they're Miragais and Chi. And like when that's the goal of playing CYB Enigma, it's like enjoyable.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your
But
opponent
a
has
lot
to,
of the
like-
games don't work out that way. You just like you get down to 20 cards and they get out to no cards, and then you don't even play the last 20 against each other. Like there is no playing any more cards. Like they just lose.
Yeah, I think part of that is the meta right now. Like we see aggro decks that don't pitch to their weapon every turn, which is like a pretty big deal. Like if we had this deck during like Fi's time in the Sun, not saying that Fi would have been strong enough to deal with this, but like where you have aggro decks that Briar is another example. Aggro decks that can set up potentially more unique end games to deal with this. It could be different. Where like the rune blades with 1-cost weapons that they don't swing very often right now just like naturally get fatigued really easily. But
no, I agree. But blues are gone. There are no more blue CYBs.
Yeah,
I kind of think CYBs are still playable and fine. I know like math wise, the answer is no. But as someone who's played a lot of CYB,
I mean, math-wise, the answer should have always been no.
No, you're skipping the fact that you play at least 3 or 4 CYBs for free every game. Like they don't actually cost an extra card.
Sure.
So that makes the math incredibly great. Like when you're getting to cast like 4 for free, because like one's off a tunic or
yeah, you're also playing these in decks that like use the other resource, right?
Yeah. But it's mostly like if you cast 1 off of a tunic, your math is infinitely better now. Because you cast 2 in 1 turn. But anyway, I think that if you played a lot of CYB, there's a lot of games where you don't need those last 3. Like you end up pitching the blue ones like to the bottom of your deck, and then just playing the reds and yellows. And then by the time you get to the blue ones, the game's already over. Like you might cast it just to be like have the extra safety net, but for the most part, like in a lot of your time, you don't need the extra.
Yeah, I think this ban might have been a buff to CYB because nobody's
there's
going to
a
play
small
Poison the
chance.
Well, and nobody's going to play Nation. And
I think it's still reasonable.
Could you imagine if like CYB wins Portland because nobody's nobody's playing?
I mean, no, because we're there with the
It's not because
I mean, we'll win the tournament, obviously, but
yeah. I mean, if everyone plays CYB, we will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what people play.
But honestly, I don't think CYB doesn't have to be dead if you don't want it to be. It's just like you have to play in a way that's actually proactive. Like when you play the Enigma deck, you actually need to play your bottom 20 cards now. Like you actually want to play the deck. In new, I think it's still functional, completely like how it was.
Yeah,
it's not a get out of jail free card as often anymore, and it can actually be a liability now. I think, but you'll find if you actually start playing CYB, you just don't need them most of the time, like at least the last three.
The most awkward thing that I can see is just that like you're gonna have more games where you're like it as a game plan is just less consistent.
Yep.
Because it's a lot easier for your CYBs to just be on the bottom.
Yep.
And especially in some of these decks and some of these matchups where you might be playing the game is where it's really tricky. I think CYB in decks where you're just using it as like the game will go long-ish and this is good value, I don't think it's good. It's I think it's super inconsistent. Like if you're trying to play the game and you draw a 2 cost gain 5 life yellow in the middle of the game, it's kind of rough a lot of the time if that's like your whole deck.
Sometimes. But it's
Sometimes.
sideboardable now in a lot
Yep.
more comfortably.
Yep.
Like you can easily
Mhm.
sideboard 6 of these.
Yeah.
You could always sideboard 9.
You could always just play the blues in every match.
Yeah, and just play the blues. But then you're stuck with playing the blues. But now you get to put real cards in your deck and then sideboard, 6 of these, and you're like have a pretty decent package.
Yeah, it's just got to be CYB Acilio now, right? Like that's just the meta. Because
Are the 0-cost heals not more appealing now?
sigils, you mean? And
Yeah,
polarity
sigil,
and stuff.
polarity,
Play all of it.
healing bomb if you have action points, I guess.
Yeah, I mean we just play the whole deck. Yeah.
What's the other one?
We play CYB Jarl. We play Rampart.
the other one.
We play Titan's Fist, and we just do that. Yeah.
Cool. As tradition, there's another rant on CYB. So next, high octane, no big surprise there. I think that kind of kills the deck, but kill the deck.
I think Dio's okay. I think Max is like buy status.
Yeah, we talked. I talked to Brian a little bit at the event, and basically our like agreement. I was talking to a few other people, and we were like, it's definitely a lot worse. But the fact that it's not the best deck anymore always makes a deck better. Like, decks that shouldn't be playing Warmongers might not be playing Warmongers now. And decks that had a bunch of tech for Dio might not be, right? Erase Face is going to be a lot less prevalent now. People are going to have worse game plans for Dio. People might not sideboard cards for Dio. And people might not know what the deck looks like now, which might make them worse into it. But it is definitely
put a card in front of their card now because they have no high octane turn to ever actually use all of their weapons, so they just lost.
Yeah, can't they just like not win the game anymore?
Now you just block.
No, they can definitely still win the game. It's just different now. It
like
involves
4 max fees.
Yeah. You just I think you play a lot different. You can also potentially do some weird stuff.
Like play 10-foot tall.
You could play like Hanabi Blaster. You have like a lot of weird ways to build the deck where like
it's definitely not trash can level.
Yeah, it's not trash can level, but it is.
It's
not
just like
it's not.
It's a pretty dramatic drop, and who cares? Like the deck's annoying to play against anyway.
Yeah.
They take 20-minute turns, as evident by Worlds.
A lot harder now. Yeah. I mean, you can't.
They for sure need to buff these other mechs though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
There's like a huge gap now.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get within an expansion slot or an armory deck or something. We're gonna get some like huge mech support because obviously every mech is just unplayable. Because
like Max lost every reason there was to play Max. Like he was actually just really good into like the slow decks, and now
and they nerfed Tekla too.
No.
No.
I mean CYB they did.
Yeah, exactly. They nerfed Tekla. That was like his only win con.
That was another interesting CYB deck, to be fair, because it was using CYB as a vehicle to get to its end game, which was a real end game, make the suit. So, like in that case, I also thought the card was more interesting than an Enigma.
Yeah,
I think if you take like tournament play out of the card, CYB is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a terrible tournament card. Okay, and then we had a couple of changes for LL. And I know Lucas is happy about one of these, and I'm happy about one of these. The one I'm happy about is that we restricted a card from Kano. They're not hit the high notes.
Yeah, I probably would have played Kano in Chicago.
Yeah,
I was not looking forward to it.
Yeah,
open the floodgates.
Open the floodgates is
for what it's worth. I don't think Kano was like the best deck not close in LL. I think it was fine. I think
it was the best deck not close.
It's whatever, you can be wrong. It's I mean it was good, but I mean every good deck in LL is like ice and or lightning and or shadow. Sorry, not and, but or shadow. So there's a lot of spell void equipments that people have access to. You have shock charmers.
Yeah.
Heart of Ice is pretty good actually with open the floodgates specifically. Because a lot of open turns rely on your opponent not having cards in their hand. And then obviously you have the shadow equipment that Spellvoid 2 basically.
I know I currently have 3 of them in my chain deck that I've been testing.
But it was still very good, but it wasn't like S tier, not close. It wasn't tier 0. It was just one of the good decks. It was one of the best decks for sure. But
Yeah.
I am also glad it's gone because Kano is just boring.
We can disagree. That's fine. Because I still think Kano is probably the best deck, or it's like top 3 now in LL. And probably not even close.
You need to play more LL.
I've played a lot of LL. It's won 2 tournaments in a row. I don't know what else do you do you want?
To be fair, the last tournament was my fault, but
sure. I think it probably would have killed you anyway, even on Starvo.
I don't know. Me and Peter talked about it. I think Starvo is like slightly favored with my loadout, but
to be fair, the argument you could make is that these are undertested events that the Kano one tricks are showing up to and just playing like they've played every matchup.
Yeah, I mean everybody's a donkey. Like nobody knows how to play against Kano. Nobody has their decks built for it. Like Kano's never been the best deck, so like people just aren't gonna like a bunch of these people like don't know how to play against it. And like
I think it's fair.
Yeah,
these events are also like they're the Sunday
that was my
after
point.
2 real events that no one even like considered
like a
preparing
70
for.
player 7-round tournament. Like
yeah, but like most people at this event, I bet like at least half of them grabbed a deck from someone else's backpack.
Yeah, I sat
like
down.
They were offered a deck and they subbed it.
I have an anecdote. I sat down round 1. The 2 tables to my right and the table to my left all included somebody who said, "This is just my CC deck."
Yeah, or that.
I mean, like I put Toma Fyendal in my Dio deck, same deck. Like,
yeah.
And that is 100% happening. And then on the opposite side of the coin, there is Vor sitting down at Amsterdam and going, "Oh, turn 1 of Prism. I'm going to respond to that. Kill you from."
Yeah, it's Kano. Like you can still do the thing. Like it's
so
it's
you know, on the opposite side,
whatever.
I think like currently, yeah, it's probably the best deck. But after people prepare for like an actual standalone event,
I started
really
with 3 AB and
AB sucks.
Two on the helmet.
Spellvoid's broken.
And then I added the Shadow Arms, so I had 4 Spellvoid, and then that wasn't enough, so I've added 6 Spellvoid and 2 AB. And now I can play against the deck.
Yeah, you're also playing Chain though, and that deck sucks.
That deck has kind of suck. Especially because of the next thing that got unbanned. Aren't you happy, Lucas?
I like Starstruck.
Starstruck?
It's cool. I sided that card out in 9 out of my 12 rounds in Barcelona when I won, when it was at 3. It's one big thing that is actually pretty important with it now is that they printed a neat little lightning card called Electromagnetic Somersault. And that card is really, really good with Unity.
When the blue specifically is like a good card, it's just like so disgusting.
Yeah, like the blue is good, and I was obviously the lists are public. I was playing yellow in my Starvo deck as well in the sideboard, and I think depending on how you build a deck, you can get cheeky and you can actually play reds. Yeah, the ability to just block 2 cards, trigger Starstruck, and then Somersault, bounce it back, and just play it is really good. Like just like a basic 4-card hand, you just have like blue card that you can target with Somersault. That can be Winter's Grasp. That can be it could be Heaven's Claws or Triptolite if it's a yellow Somersault, and then just some other blue and a Starstruck, and it's just 4 cards, and you block 5 to 6 and throw a Starstruck without having to Starvo, without having to use your Tunic, without having to do anything cute. It's really good. You can also there's some cute things you can do with like Spinal Crush. You can block with Starstruck in another card and then Somersault it and then do it again. And then you have 2 Seismic Surges. You can throw your Spinal Crush or you can throw your 3-cost off of your Tunic. So I think that Starstruck getting unbanned is relevant or unrestricted is relevant. The card itself, throwing it is fine. It's pretty good, but I don't think it changes too much, but it's definitely a buff. I think you'll probably play 3 in most matchups now.
It feels like an unnecessary buff to me because
I want to say some stuff on that.
You just got like 20 new cards to put in the deck.
No, hold on. Starvo got an entire set of support. He's getting an armory deck with more double fuse cards. Well, and they're like,
no, he doesn't get more double fuse cards. That's a
are those specs?
Those are specs.
My bad.
Dude, if
a whole armory deck.
You could play Crumble to Eternity in fucking Starvo.
I assumed you could. I don't know.
No, dude, I
How
would
to read
just have won
cards.
Chicago already. Like they would have already shipped me my trophy.
But like, I don't understand. He got a whole set. He's getting an armory deck, and they're like, "Oh, we kind of missed having 8 Starvo in top 8. Let's unban something."
No,
Like,
I think it's okay. It's just like I think that it makes sense that they want to keep the LL restricted list pretty tiny, and I don't think
I just
that,
think the timing is super weird. I think they
I
like looked
agree.
at the Battle Harden results a little too hard there.
I don't think
Like,
so.
surely we should see the impact of this like 100 cards that got added to his pool first.
Yeah, I will say I think there is some stuff you can do now with Starvo that is really good. So
Yeah, I think it's definitely like top 3.
I think it's probably the best deck, but I do think that there are other good decks, and it has.
I'm expecting him to now be like most played by far, and like I wouldn't be surprised if it's 8 out of 8 top 8.
I mean,
I think 8 out of
you know
8
it's
is-
good when I'm also considering just playing it for Chicago.
Yeah,
And
same.
I have chain. Like,
Yeah, I don't think it's.
I played
8
a
out of
Guardian
8.
at like 1 armory in my life ever.
I don't think it's 8 out of 8 good, but I think it's the best deck.
No, I just think it's possible. Where like before I
Yeah.
wouldn't have said that.
Sure.
yeah, Somersault is a hell of a drug.
Somersault's really good. Fruits of the Forest, man. That card is great. Like that card is such an unsung. Like you're like every turn 0, boom. I have 6 of these. I'm at 42. That's like it's so small and you don't notice it, but like you get down to the end of the game and you're like, "Oh, I drew a fruits on turn 0. I'll go to 1. Show you crayons." And it's like it's a pretty big deal. Earth form is also pretty important buff. For just like the normal regular Starvo lists. That embodiment can be really important. Lightning Greaves is crazy. That card is Iron Rot and AB1 and Time Skippers all in the same card. It also lets you push against Runeblade when you need to. What else do you get? You get Decompose cards that you can play. And in the new Armory deck, there are 2 new Earth equipments that you can just put from your equipment zones into the graveyard and then banish them. You get a bunch of new ice cards.
Why did they unban a card?
You got a bunch of new ice
Like it's
cards.
probably fine. It's just like I don't
you get a new
understand the
chest
timing.
if you want that. You don't have to play Tunic now. The new Seismic Surge chest
Yeah.
is maybe good.
All of this just makes chain
Also an Earth
just
card.
feel so bad. It's so depressing to play chain now because you're just like you're playing against everyone who has all these new tools. Like Briar got a card printed for them in the last set, like straight up, and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna take the same cards I've had since basically release.
Whoa!
and just
Hold
play
on.
with it. None of the new cards are really playable in chain. It's really
Not in Boomer Chain. Why are you playing Boomer Chain, dude? You have RuneGate right there. They just printed Deadwood Dirge. They printed Malefic Incantation. They print Arcane Cussing.
You gotta prove it out to
Sonata
us,
is
man.
legal.
I don't believe in it
because
either.
I've been playing that deck and it kind of sucks dick.
Yeah, you guys just suck. No,
Show us the tape.
I think that deck's
It
better
is
than
good.
Boomer Chain.
It's good for turn 1 through 5, and then you banish your dirges and you banish your read the runes, and then you can't play any of your attacks out of your banish zone. And you go, I guess the game's over. I literally can't get this out if I needed to.
Hey man, that's on you.
So
You just need to draw better.
and then old him with CYB is just sitting there like,
It could be an
is
Arsenal
this a real
priority thing.
deck?
They could legitimately be a skill issue there.
No, not
I
really.
can see that.
When they just get banished in your pile and they're just not in your deck anymore, you just eventually can't get the cards out of your banish zone.
Yeah.
All right, we have a tier list to do.
Yeah. I'm not saying
Yeah,
there
Chicago's
isn't-
for 2 weeks from now, man. We have a calling in CC.
I'm not saying there isn't a RuneGate chain build that works. It's just like really not great. Not as great as it should be in theory.
Well, I want to make a quick comment. Like the appeal of Boomer Chain is that you have inevitability. Like if decks try to go along with you, you have this inevitable stack that previously was large enough to just guarantee you win. I don't know if that's true anymore.
Okay. Let it go ahead and do some tier lists. Okay. So we are going to do a tier list. This tier list is for Portland specifically, and it is a shortened tier list. This is for a competitive event. This is a pretty competitive podcast. So there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in this bottom tier that says don't play. It's because you really shouldn't be bringing these to events that you're trying to win. If you're not trying to win, then sure, play it. Then we're going to have S. I would like to try and limit how many decks are in S, because that feels a little disingenuous. A would be decks that compete with S, or at least some of the S's, or with each other. And then B would be more of the fringy decks. They might be targeting decks. They might be specialist decks. They might fall in that range as well. So
Yeah, I would expect it to be like 6 to 7 A and S tier decks in top 8, and then like somewhere from 1 to 3 probably B tier decks.
Yeah,
would be like around what I would assume.
So we are going to rapid fire some of these to get the don't plays out of the way. So Arachne is in don't play.
Yep.
Betsy's in don't play. Bolton's in don't play. Bravo's in don't play. I would put Dorinthia is close. Phi is in. No, Phi got better. I'd rather
Kasai.
argue about that. Kasai is definitely there.
Atu.
Max is in don't play.
Okay, on Levi should definitely be
Olympia
there.
is in don't play. I would put Reinar in don't play. Teklo in don't play. Azuri in don't play. Victor in don't
Verdance.
play. Where's Verdance? Verdance in don't play. Vincent in don't play.
Riptide, come on.
Riptide in don't play.
Acilio sucks.
He does. It's close, but
I think you can play Acilio for sure.
I actually agree.
If you run hot, I think you get there.
It feels like a B tier hero to me.
It's literally just Aurora, just like higher variance.
Dude, but Aurora already sucks. Why would you increase variance?
I mean, that's not a
Because
good
you need to.
Okay, let's look at Acilio. So Acilio B tier.
Yeah, he's like easy B tier. He's high ceiling. I think he's kind of low consistency.
He has a lot of tricks though.
I don't know. He's kind of bad.
Yeah,
he's probably in don't play.
Yeah, we have moved him back to don't play.
Yeah, you could, but I don't think it's very.
Yeah, if my local asks me, should I play Acilio? I'm going to say no.
To be fair, if Vor asked me if he should play Acilio, I'd tell him no as well. So I think that's probably fair. I think he's such a good player that he doesn't need to handicap himself on playing Acilio at a calling.
Yeah,
not that he couldn't win or top with it, because I think he could, but it's like, why handicap yourself? You're so good. Like,
yeah, I have a few other heroes that I think probably belong in don't play.
Yeah, I agree.
I would put Kano
is in
there.
don't play.
Yeah. And then I would put Dory there. I think like
Dory's spread is pretty good, unless except for Enigma.
I think. I don't know.
That's my issue.
You should probably make the top tier first now, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. We should.
Unless we're like really confident.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Let's.
Wait, we meant to leave Katsu where he is?
No, I think don't play is definitely.
Oh, I missed him. He's
okay.
Don't play. Sorry.
Are we missing Ira?
Ira is in this tier list. She's a B tier hero.
Yeah, she's just missing currently. Okay, let's do S tier. We'll start with the obvious, probably S tier. We can start with Enigma. This deck is probably S tier. It might change as we put other things on the board, but it won Worlds. Yeah, CYB was nerfed, but maybe a better version gets to play the game now. There's a million ways to play this deck. There's a bunch of extra cards that you can include in it. It basically has like 15 to 20% of the time, it just wins the game automatically, no matter who it's against, because it just draws some nut hand that makes it unplayable. And then all its matchups that's okay or not very good into are still relatively close and playable.
Yeah. Into a wide field of decks and skill level, like, I don't think you can really do better than Enigma.
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to. The mirror kind of sucks, and it has some matchups that are a little flippy or draw dependent, but whatever. I mean, this deck's super good.
Yeah. We're going to see a trend with like the top of this chart, and it's the Mystic talent.
Yeah.
That is my prediction.
I'd like to save the other obvious ones. But also, I think the deck kind of got better with Dio gone.
I think the deck gets to be a lot freer in deck building, which is a really big deal.
Okay, let's talk about Aurora.
I think it's like easy top of A tier.
I think it's got to be like the ultimate.
Because it's a calling.
It's like the ultimate A tier deck, right? Like it's just, it's good. It's not great. It's not B.
It's mostly consistent. Like the deck's output without like game plans and just kind of like playing your hands is like high. So like you're going to like beat most average or lesser players just by default, as long as your cards say go again.
Which they do.
And the ceiling's really high too, because you have like channel to scale.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also,
deck's good and it's consistent.
It got buffed. Dio got nerfed.
Yeah.
It
yes.
could not. It
Oh
couldn't
wait,
win that.
wait. I might play Aurora.
It
Hold
couldn't
on.
win that matchup at all. Like had no chance.
Wait, how have I not
against
thought
real
about
Theo.
this
It
yet?
literally won that matchup in top 4 of Worlds, but it's hard.
It was the
very
Yeah, I
most
need to look at her with the
horrendous.
nuance
You
now.
have to
I
watch
was
the
gonna say-
game. That
I
game
was
was
gonna say, like-
horrendous.
Yeah.
She might be pushing S tier for calling.
But I mean, I think its Enigma matchup at like level 1 is fantastic, and then its
Mhm.
Enigma matchup at like level 2 is suddenly not good. Like it's like mid. Still like
yeah, I
playable
think you
and
still have a
fine,
slight
but-
edge.
Yeah, slight edge. You go from like I can't lose this game to like,
Yeah.
oh, this is actually hard.
Yeah.
But tier 1, you're like, this is the best deck in the game against Enigma. And then you play against good Enigma and you're like, oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're just like, if you didn't play at Worlds and you're playing the calling, I think Aurora's like an S tier choice, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like if you're not fully prepped on a deck already and you need to choose something, I think
I think there'll be a ton
Aurora
of
and
Aurora.
Enigma are like the slams.
There'll be absolutely a ton of Aurora. Okay. Next deck, Viscerai.
A tier.
You really should have had no on for this.
Yeah, I think Viscerai belongs ahead of Aurora.
Yep.
But a lot of that is just my personal bias. I really like that Viscerai is flexible and can change his game plan depending on the matchup and depending on how you want to play. And I feel like he asks a lot more questions than Aurora does in ways that inexperienced or intermediate level players are not prepared to answer properly. And I think that the challenges that he poses, if you pose them in the right way, are really, really powerful. Like the deck that Noah and UNG played at Worlds, I thought was like genius. Like I thought all their matchups and their game plans were super smart and super thorough and very effective. And the ways that people were supposed to play against them are not obvious, not easy to make up on the fly, and often not good enough anyway. So I think Aurora might just be a better like pick it up and play it deck. But I think Viscerai is a better deck.
Also,
in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Dio going away is a big
Dio,
thing
yeah.
for this deck again.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's way more likely Viscerai wins the event than Aurora.
I do think Viscerai has the edge in the Aurora match, personally. But I do think it might have the worst Enigma, a worse Enigma match than Aurora does.
CYB going away is good for that matchup, though, right? I don't really know where that matchup was,
Oh, wait.
but
I need to clarify on this matchup. I hear from a lot of Viscerai and Enigma that this matchup is really bad for the Enigma. You cannot engage in the game with Viscerai. Like you're not allowed to as the Enigma player. Like you don't get to be like, I will block some of your things and take damage, and then I will put a thing on the board and swing at you. Like you don't get to play that game. You just have to play fatigue. Like you have no choice. Like that's just how the match works. So when you're constructing your Enigma deck, for the most part, you need to take into account that you're going to have to fatigue a Viscerai, and then at some points have to put on a little bit of pressure if they start trying to stack you in certain ways, and like have game plans for this sort of thing. And if you don't, then you just fail. You'll just fail at deck selection. But if you do it the opposite way, I feel like the matchup is not actually that difficult. Knowing what the general public has been saying about this matchup, though, I will just say Viscerai is probably favored into most Enigmas. But in our testing, you just put some cards in your sideboard for this and then play the game, and it's like fine.
cool.
So, okay.
Viscerai A tier.
Yes, Viscerai A tier. Let's do a couple of easy ones. KO.
B
tier. Deck's still strong. Deck is still fine to play. It's just like not the other decks. I did want to mention one reason why I give Viscerai the nod over Aurora, in case people are wondering, is because Viscerai has the ability to outscale the cards in their hand. Aurora does not. Aurora's cards are all worth 4 for the most part, no matter how you play them.
Ideally 5.
Yeah, ideally, but for the most part, like you expect 4 damage out of the cards. But Viscerai can scale his hand past, or his damage output past the cards in his hand.
You can also set it up and damage stack.
Yeah,
And he's
exactly.
just more flexible.
Yeah, I think Lucas said it while talking about Viscerai. Like Aurora's this is what she does. She's gonna keep doing it. Sometimes as a channel.
Yep. So KO, B tier. Any
Nope.
issues with that? No.
Nope. Probably towards the top.
Probably. Okay, let's grab controversial pick in Florian. What do you think Florian is?
I think he's don't play.
I think he's B tier.
I think he's B tier.
I think he's better into Enigma than people think, and I think if people don't know how to play into him as Enigma, he's actually really pretty good in that matchup if you build your deck in a way that can be good into Enigma. And then I think he's pretty okay into some of the other decks at the top, like we'll get there, but Zen. I think he's pretty okay there. And then he's just kind of fine. I don't think the Viserai matchup's pretty hard. The Aurora matchup I think is fine for both players. I think he's just fine.
Agreed. I think
he's probably like middle B tier. Like he's just the ultimate, like whatever. You play Florian, I'm not gonna yell at you for it, but I probably would play something else.
Hey, it feels like the same as Ira to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Dio. After the changes, where do we put
Dude,
Dio?
I don't fucking know. Probably B tier. Like, who knows, man?
I'm pretty confident B tier. Like, I think Dio was A tier before High Octane, and that was simply because some of the games were just unwinnable, bad, and then some of the games you're just kind of a god. And I think now it's just like solidly bottom of B tier.
Yeah, I just don't know how you beat a bunch of block 3s now.
Yeah. The fact that the deck just lost to people putting cards in front of cards with like no real plan in front of it, some percentage of the time was just like, that can never be an S tier deck. Like it literally just can never be an S tier deck if that's how it fails before. And now it's worse. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Can we just talk about Zen? I know,
sure.
Just so that we can.
Sure.
Like we think he's S tier. Surely we should just talk about him.
I don't know if I do.
Talk about Zen, Lucas.
Okay. He's ahead into Enigma. He's ahead into Viserai. He's ahead into Aurora. Cool. S tier. Next deck.
And Florian and Dio.
He's ahead into everything. He's favored into every deck.
I don't know if he's ahead,
except for there's like 3 or 4. I think.
So I think like matchup spread, sure, I agree, but I think like what you get with him versus Enigma is like you do have draws that just don't let you play the game, and maybe Enigma has this too.
Enigma does too. Yeah, Enigma has those draws.
Yeah, but
not in every matchup.
Isn't her like alternative plan of just blocking stronger than Zen's alternative plan of just blocking?
Yeah, but I think I honestly just think it's like Zen is, I think, favored into both rune blades with a lot of room for skill expression. Mm-hmm. I think Enigma is I don't know the matchup spread well enough. It sounds like she is not comfortably favored in either one of those matchups, and there might not be a whole lot of room for skill expression into some of the games. And Zen, when I play Zen in like all of the matchups, except for Enigma, I hate playing into Enigma and Zen because I feel like I just have no agency. But the other matchups feel like I have a lot of room to play and I'm ahead. I don't know. It's very possible that I'm just biased because when I play the deck, it feels like I'm just playing the best deck.
No, I think I agree. Like if you're practiced on it,
yeah, like I think
you should. I think you'll feel like you have the most.
Yeah, I think Armory
Andy.
The outcome. Yeah, Armory Andy picking up Zen for the first time, not necessarily knowing how to use their equipment and how to manage the medium draws. I do think the deck is pretty mid, but
I think it's worse than that. Like we had those conversations with Pudding, like picked up and played the Zen deck. He's
well,
like,
his
deck felt terrible.
The list that they were playing that they showed us was pretty bad. I mean,
agreed. The only people who have our lists are our members of our Discord that have.
Yeah, we haven't showed it yet.
That's so funny. For your thing holds stand for the average person and most people, barring maybe the person who won the calling.
I was gonna say, I mean,
Zen is like really bad.
Yeah, the calling list is good enough.
Yeah, like it's I also just think it's like I don't know. It's my biggest holdback would be that it's possible that we're biased because it's possible that if you flesh out game plans into everything as much as we have for Zen, then just all of these decks should be S tier. If you like maybe Viserai's S tier if you just flesh out all of the game plans as well as we have fleshed out the game plans that we have for Zen.
So yeah, I don't know that the three of us can like unbiasedly, if that's even a word.
Yeah, I think Zen's the best deck. I'm going to be playing Zen. I think I'm going to do well. But
I mean,
I don't know. It's hard to make a case against them, I think.
It's hard to make a case against it when you're good. You're favored into Enigma, favored into Viserai, favored into Aurora.
Yeah, and he still has the high roll draws. Like if you draw a Chi the first 3 turns, the game's over. Like you just won. And
it does
there's 9 copies. It's not like that.
it
I
does
wonder
it
what the
does
meta
actually
is.
feel like that. Like if you transcend like 2 times in the first like 3 turns, I don't think you lose like almost ever. Like it's
Yeah.
really really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just it. The deck's just broken. When your hero ability is active, like it's just unreasonable.
Yeah, I always go to the draw a chi by turn 3 math, which I think is 92%.
Yeah.
It's like 92% of the time I think he's S tier. That's how I'll say it.
Yeah. I don't know. We spent a lot of time on the podcast last week talking about why it's so good and why it's good into every matchup, and why we think that it's the best deck currently. And it's simply on matchup spread. It's not even on power of deck, which is the funny part.
Which is crazy because then it also is just like a pretty powerful deck that just like wins games
Mhm.
by itself.
But it's
without-
like just powerful enough to be like,
just
in our
good
opinion,
enough.
out at top.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're like one Codex of Frailty away from not being good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, a deck Azalea.
I have no idea. I'm gonna trust you guys.
Oh, it's B tier, 100%.
I'd say like bottom A, top of B. I think she always kind of has a low representation. And I think she's in this kind of weird space where like she's not really like that good into anything. She's pretty ahead, I would say, into Enigma would be like your like reason for playing her is that she's ahead in that matchup.
Yeah.
But it's not like free or anything. You still have to play the game. And then a bunch of the other matchups are just close. I think she's kind of like Aurora, but she's just a little bit worse.
Yeah, Aurora is like sometimes fine to her as well. Like she doesn't just dominate the Viscerai and Aurora deck enough.
Yeah. I think she's like in that same tier of hero though. She just has had like a very low representation and I think she's really hard to play and she kind of gets not enough appreciation for that. Like she has a really tricky deck to play and like your game plan matters quite a bit, I think, which people just like don't talk about because obviously the pump arrow hands are pretty easy to play.
Also, her Zen, it's not like her Zen matchup's good either.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I think Zen's gonna have pretty low representation, so I wouldn't like put decks where they are based on that too much.
I'm not convinced on that.
It's still relevant.
Yeah,
in the conversation
I don't
of
think
where a deck is.
Yeah, it's definitely not like super good into Zen. I think it's behind by a little bit.
Yep. Dash.io. Is there any reason to play this deck?
She's still legal?
Yeah.
It's probably. Is it not just better than Dio now? Like, it's more resilient to fatigue. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say don't play because I legitimately is like the first hero that I just don't have. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing if you're playing Dash.io, man.
I don't know how good it is.
Go home.
Like, if someone just like showed up, won the whole thing, and said this is secretly the best deck, I'd have been like, okay, well, I guess that's the case.
I just feel like she's never been worse than B tier.
Yeah, but well, she has no high octane anymore, so
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't play.
Yeah, she's just Tree Frog now, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Lucas, tell me where Prism goes.
I don't know. I haven't played this deck since they banned my fucking book. Like I
don't play.
No, I think it's definitely not don't play because of the.
I just wanted the cop out.
It's probably B-ish.
Yeah, it's probably B. Your Enigma matchup sucks, but you're good into the 3 aggro decks that are at the top of this.
That sounds good.
Oh, that's pretty good then.
Yeah. B. Great.
Yeah.
New A.
Surely that's above Florian and KO.
I don't know if this is true. New being A.
The news think that they're good into Enigma. Or at least that they're fine into Enigma. Some of them think they're good.
They are actually fine into Enigma.
Yeah, they're definitely fine.
The ones that know, they know. Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah. I think that's all you need to put it in A tier.
If you have the Mystic talent, you are A tier by default.
Okay. I would just say that I think its Aurora match isn't nearly as good as people think it is.
It also lost 3 copies of Count Your Blessings, which is pretty relevant because I do think that the CYB new was like the better version by a reasonable amount.
But worse into Enigma. The CYB version was significantly worse into Enigma.
Yeah. I wish I got to play against this deck as Aurora. I just don't understand how that's better.
CYB? You're just fatiguing it. That's the...
Sure.
Yeah. I also think
its
Zen matchup is still decent, but it got worse.
You're ahead, but yeah.
Yeah. It got worse. The Viscerai matchup, I have heard goes both ways, but that's kind of new specialty.
I heard CYB was the unlocker, but I don't know. So
yeah.
I mean A B-ish probably.
It feels like top of B to
I
me,
think
honestly.
if you're practiced new at a calling, like 50% of your games are just gonna win by outskilling, at least, if not more.
Not
Yeah.
even by outskilling, just by lack of skilling.
Okay,
Yeah.
you've convinced me because it's a calling.
Like at a calling, like I think Newest
Yeah,
is
yeah,
always
yeah.
a good play. Like her power
Especially-
level's insane. She's very hard to play against.
Yeah, especially if you're
The meta
prepped into
position's
it,
like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did we leave these ones for last? These are so this is
Because
stupid.
I'm not 100% sure, and I want to give them
You
at
just
least
Yeah, we're
put
like
them all in
done.
B
Why
tier.
do we
Like,
need
we
to
know
talk
where
about-
they
yeah, just
go.
put them in
Like,
don't play, man.
I mean, yeah.
Well, hold on. Dawnblade Dory is
Oh my
actually
God.
pretty good into Zen, into Viserai, into Aurora.
Unless Zen.
Wait, hold on. Is Dawnblade good into Zen?
Not into
I guess
Zen.
we're assuming like builds change.
Into Azalea, like it's pretty decent into those decks.
It's
not
not
good.
that good. It's not that good. That deck
But it's pretty
sucks.
decent. Like it's a completely playable.
No, I think Dawnblade Dory typically hovers around B tier.
Yeah. It's just like its Enigma
know.
match is horrendous.
So I have a question. Your friendamundo, your good pal walks up to you. He says, "Mr. Cody, I'm going to this tournament and I'm going to play Dawnblade Dory. I paid for my flight. I paid for a hotel. I paid
don't
the entry
play.
fee." Okay. Well,
I do think the calling argument is relevant for this hero. Like if your friend is a very good Dawnblade Dory player, I think you're gonna get a lot of wins at a calling type event.
Yeah, I'd still tell him not to play it though.
I wouldn't tell anyone to play Dory.
I think that's a good point.
I would say the
or
same thing
Fi
about
or
Leviah.
Leviah.
Or
Great.
I would
Fi.
not say the same thing about Leviah. I think Leviah belongs in B tier.
Yeah, if someone really wanted to bring Leviah, I would never.
Yeah.
Especially with Dio powered down.
Yeah, that deck is
No, you're right. Dio powered down. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that deck is not don't play. It's not amazing, but it's so powerful.
Wasn't Dio like the main issue for the deck?
I think Aurora is a big issue too.
Oh, Aurora was the other.
Yeah,
issue.
I don't
think
know
the
how
biggest
Viserai
issue-
goes.
The Leviah deck is just Leviah. It's like it hasn't powered up enough to be like much better into all the good decks. You're still kind of just a Blood Rush simulator.
Just probably ahead of KO, yeah.
Yeah, I think where we have it exactly right now is around where I would put it. I think I like this list. I actually think this is the first time where I've liked like every order. Obviously, the don't play stuff is not in any order, but ABC, I think the order is
good. I actually think you could make an argument to move Enigma to top of A, but that is really splitting.
I don't think
hairs,
that's reasonable at a
but
calling.
not at a calling.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I like this list.
If this was Pro Tour, she would be don't play.
We have
after winning the Pro Tour.
Yeah,
fair.
Right,
Okay,
we
this
have
is
a
the
bunch
tier
of
list. I like this tier list. It looks accurate. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our podcast questions. These are asked from members of our premium Discord. If you would like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, view videos, look at the deck list that we just posted for Zen, along with the matchup guide, feel free to join in the link below. So, first question here from Millen is, how should a control deck look like, in your opinion, in FAB?
We already talked about this one for the most part. My opinion is that it should look like decks that disrupt your opponent and seek to make the game go longer, and then have some sort of payoff for making the game go longer, and then proceed to win the game in a normal way. Most of the time. That would be my thing. So like CYB New or Icelander would be my two best examples of how I would like control to play out. Not necessarily from a balance perspective, not necessarily with Frostbites or with Mask of Malicious, whatever.
Tacklevossen is how I would like a control deck to work.
Yep.
It's like
I think that's
stall out to a big thing. Its stall out is part of the game plan. However, Tacklevossen just kind of sucks. So it's like whatever.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think his disruption is like the right kind of disruption, because I think you get to choose on his like.
Well, he
effects,
has Arsenal disruption that you basically can't interact with.
Yeah, but that's fine. You don't have to Arsenal, right? Like it's like things that are predictable and like you have some choice. Like I think asking a lot of questions is always what a control deck should be doing. Having actual answers would be good. I'm in favor of having the ability to have a correct answer, unlike some spots you get into with New.
I think that's boring, but
yeah. I don't know. I agree though. I like having like you're playing towards this like end game plan that isn't just running out of cards. Like I think Cosmic Awakenings are really cool. Finisher that like some of these CYB decks we're doing, they didn't really show up, but like disrupting your opponent running out of resources, healing, and then your deck is just cheating 20s is kind of cool. I'm into
I
that.
personally like frostbites more than I like new. Like I hate when they touch my hand. I hate when in any deck. I hate discard in every deck, every card game that exists. I hate discard as a mechanic. But
What do you
I
think
don't.
about Aether Ice Vein
don't mind
Fuse,
frostbite.
trigger Insidious Chill? I have an Amulet of Ice in play. Teehee.
Wait, he
I
said
said
frostbite. He didn't say
frostbite.
ice thunder.
I did not
just the
say.
You're
frostbite
jumping to
part.
so many
Okay.
conclusions here, man. This is what I was trying to say in the beginning of the podcast. Like, I think Icelander is like an abysmal
meant
control deck
how
to
it
play
plays.
against. It's like so deterministically good.
Obviously, Amulet is discard, so I definitely hate that a ton as well. But it's more of like frostbites. Hey, your thing costs more. Here's a way I'm slowing you down or disrupting
But
you.
we have,
I think it's fine.
we have that actually kind of leads us into the next question a little bit.
Yeah, with from Craft, it says, with ice back on the menu, how do you think aggro will be? Will Hunted bringing all of the pieces that aggro has been missing?
So first of all, as an ice main, I'm very excited. All of my good finishes are just like, they always seem to be with ice heroes. I can't top 8 if I can't give you frostbites. Jarl is not good. His position is not format warping, is a big deal. It's not like when Icelander and Oldhim were both legal and were also the two best decks, so every deck had to warp around it. It's more of like, this deck is stone cold unplayable into Enigma and is just good outside of that. So it's a little bit different than those decks. But I do think it's powerful, and it does change how aggro decks look a little bit. He is good. I think is my early impression of him. I don't have very many games. I have like literally.
I was say, have you guys played him yet? The reports I'm hearing is that he's just like bad. Just like
I played a
straight
few
up bad.
games. I think,
but I have not tried
I
it.
firmly believe that if you build the proper list, he is just a good hero that is good at what he does and has weaknesses, obviously. But he's not format warping because he just can't be, because he's unplayable into Enigma.
Can we talk about aggro now?
That's all you. I was just going to talk about ice. You can talk about aggro.
Wait, wasn't the question like, how is aggro now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he said the
It's
word
fine.
ice, so I had to talk for 2 minutes.
No, that's fair. I think we should. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, Jarl's not warping enough that, like, I don't know. I'd still be a little uncomfortable playing Aurora, but maybe I just don't care because he doesn't really fit in the meta that well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that the new set gives at least these Draconic heroes tools against ice cards. I don't think the threat of Jarl is that high from what I'm seeing and hearing. Yeah, I don't know. Aggro decks just seem good still. Like, I think the biggest, like, most reliable thing to start thinking about from the aggro side is like Stalagmite. Like, if that's the type of card that you can't warp your play pattern or resource curve around, like typically in Runeblades this was an issue because you'd have a perfect curve of like non-attack, attack, Rosetta Thorn for 4. If you have something like that where it's like gonna guarantee deny your last attack on your go turn, that could be awkward. Like,
yeah, trying to resolve.
It's a little weird as Zen, like in terms of what you tutor, right? Like you have to warp that the whole game maybe because it's just on the board. Like that's annoying. But you also play like 35 blues if you want. So
it's kind of weird though, because a lot of your, I actually think frostbites are like better against Zen than they are against like almost any other hero that plays that many blues. Just because like transcending is so annoying through a frostbite when you have like wind chakra and a blue, and you're like, well, I have these extra resources. They come later, but I'm gonna have them. Just believe me. And it's like, no, you have to pitch your tiger swipe to play your wind chakra. I'm sorry. It could be really.
Yeah, like he might be able to force you to like pitch your cheese to go like stick for 2, attack for 3. That's it's pretty bad.
X from Falcon asks, any general thoughts on the new set coming up? What's the most exciting thing that you've seen at base in the leaks and the previews?
I mean, the most exciting thing is the Arachne. Like, what the hell is that thing? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, hero ability is awesome. A lot of people have been asking for new solitary confinement. Obviously, it's weird because it's not just for this hero, and maybe they make more heroes. So that's got to be the most exciting thing for me. But I know other people are partial to other classes and talents, so maybe other people will.
I forgot Arachne
Yeah.
was in the set.
That's what I expected to hear.
I also haven't like read these cards because they got released during Worlds.
I literally,
And I was like, I can't think about this. Like people were sitting down on day 2 to draft and they're like getting excited about them. I was like, I can't, I'm tuning you out. Like I don't want to
I
like
was
start
actually
processing like what's
I
good,
was
what's
actually
not.
reading the cards out loud to you at the event, and you were looking at me, and I know that you were not listening. That's how committed you were.
My brain was like, you can't listen to
That's
this.
how
It's not
committed
worth
you
it.
were to not listening to the new cards.
Yeah. I saw the Phi one. I don't know what it does. I remember it being awesome.
Yeah. There's a bunch of
excited for
Nujiconic
that.
ninja cards. They're good.
Yeah. Syndra looks cool. I'll probably be playing her.
I'm excited. I just want to know how Arachne works. That's it. Just how does this work? Why are there all these heroes?
No. Why did they buff
etc.
new? Not
Yeah, why
with
did
new
they buff
cards, just
new,
with
but-
Arachne's hero ability.
Yep.
Well, also new
Yeah,
cards. now.
also new, and assassin and ninja being like two of the best classes. Obviously, they need new set.
Yep. Okay.
Well, ninja being the best class is kind of either a hot or a new take.
Sure, that's fair.
They were previously believed to be maybe the worst class.
I don't know. They're currently the best class. So, Fighting Wulong asks if it was your job to shorten top cut games at big LSS tournaments, what would you do?
I
You
would
can't ban
probably
fatigue decks.
Monetary
I would
incentive.
probably ban high octane and count your blessings blue. I think
That's a
would
good
be
idea.
what I would do. Yeah.
Genius. You should put a bounty where you get like X dollars based on how long your game takes.
I think
Not
the
to
real
downplay it.
answer, honestly, this is my like
Enforce slow play.
this is my like
That's
this
it.
is my like pro player take, is that people watching should just cry about it, like a little bit, like not like quite. I like, it is a problem when it's egregious, but
Like an 80-minute finals.
yeah, I don't care that much. Like I will say, I haven't watched the top 8 games yet all the way through, so I don't know.
Just watch the finals and you'll change your
I
mind.
don't know what the pace of play was. I know that towards the end there was a lot of extra thinking. I think everybody who has never played a game for $100,000 should just be quiet, and they should put themselves in that spot and see if you would also take 5 minutes making sure you're dead before you give away 6 figures. So everybody who like has any like bad talk about that situation.
Oh, I think at the end especially.
Yeah.
it should
Everybody who
anyway. Like you gotta make you gotta make
everybody
sure.
who bad talk that situation can just be quiet. But I think enforcing some level of slow play is fine as long as it's clear in the rules. The slow play rules right now are written where the judges have a lot of discretion. So when you get to top 8, it gets very weird with how the judges are going to lay it out. I think it would just be probably more clear slow play policy is like the quickest way to just
Agreed.
try and do that. If that's even a goal of yours, which honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It honestly might be their directive to like not do that.
Yeah, I've never
to
seen
make
it
sure like
happen.
it's the best play
Yeah.
they can get.
Yeah.
Like I would
I will
rather
say
see
this:
good games.
I haven't seen a lot of people complaining about the players in these games.
Yeah.
To be fair,
There have
it's
been a
just that-
few, and
a few,
and
Mm.
those
but for the most
complaints
part,
were who I was just talking to.
I've seen a lot of instances
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
Those people are who I was just talking to. You guys can be quiet.
Okay. I said for the most part, it's just like the game just shouldn't take this long. Like it shouldn't take 80 minutes to finish a game.
That's
like it
a
just
design thing.
it was
Yeah.
designed on top of it being the
Yeah,
finals,
which
right?
is
Like,
why I think that it's, if I was in that spot, I would probably ban high octane and I would ban Count Your Blessings Blue for those reasons.
I don't know. I don't know the last time
Mm.
I saw a slow play pointed out by a judge.
It was
Except-
in the Battle Hardened on Sunday. They were actually calling it so obviously Brody plays slower than most people. They were calling it
Mhm.
way too harshly on Sunday.
Well, they knew their venue. was
Yeah, they
closing.
have to
I
get you
assume
out.
that was
Yeah,
a
there
big
were a
factor.
few.
I'm
There
talking
were a
about
few
on stream.
instances of like,
I'm talking about on stream.
oh,
I don't care about off
Sure,
stream.
sure.
Only on stream.
Yeah. I agree. It's mostly the
Yeah,
stream that
agreed.
needs
Yeah.
more enforcement, which I wouldn't be surprised if they have the direction.
The last one I know of that happened was to me at Nationals that I top
No.
aided.
There was a stream match where they allegedly, I heard that the players were instructed to play faster multiple times. The people who told me that said that they were doing that way too often and that they were enforcing slow play too much.
On top cut.
Yeah, it's
that's
also
what
a
I
fine
heard.
line,
That-
like,
that's
you
what I
don't
heard.
want
That it
that.
wasn't
Where?
in top 8.
Where?
I don't know.
That's a question. Like,
So I'd like to see the judges like before top 8 do like a meeting with the players and be like, pace of play is still a thing. We will be enforcing it. Like even just saying that I think would help. Even if they don't
my
enforce it.
impression of what happened with that situation was like a judge was saying,
And maybe they do that.
a judge was giving directives really like way too often, and then like you have the finals where they just stop doing that apparently. Like, so like I think the biggest problem is inconsistency, because it's up to the judges and it's not always the same judge, it's not always the same policy. So I would like to see some consistency or communication from the judge. Because like the biggest feels bads that I've seen on the other side is players sitting down, playing at a pace that has been allowed for the whole tournament and that would be allowed for future games, and being told to play faster at a pace that they're just not used to playing at because nobody else enforces it that way. Those have been the feel bad.
Yeah, I do think the top 8 enforced pace should be like significantly more than the Swiss pace, if that makes sense. Unless it's like more time every single turn, right? I don't know. I'm not a judge. I trust that.
I don't know.
Continue to improve.
There is a secondary way to look at this, if you want. So top 8 is untimed, but reasonable is accepted. Like reasonable pace is expected. Maybe you shouldn't get infinite time to make your decisions just because it's top cut. So, like, currently the way we play the game is once you get the top cut, you get to legitimately think about your turns as much as you want, as forever.
Yeah, everyone like relaxes.
Yeah,
they're like I'm gonna take my time.
You get to take your time. You double check everything, and we're playing for like a lot of money, and we're playing for good pricing. But maybe you just shouldn't be allowed to take that much time.
One thing that other games do is you could just say, for this game, you could just say you have an hour and 5 minutes. After those hour and 5 minutes, you're gonna have 4 turns. Like that could be what they do.
Yeah. But my
I'm not saying I would like that, but
currently the way we look at Top Cut is that you get to do this because you're in Top Cut and you're playing for a bunch of money.
You know, everyone like visibly relaxes.
But you don't have to be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
You can still be under a time crunch of expectation of like, sure, but you don't get to do this, take this much time just because it's Top Cut. That could be a decision that's made.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It would flex a different skill, but it's the same skill you have to flex during Swiss, which is critical thinking under a time constraint, which you do not have to do.
Is it currently an issue?
It seems like more often we've been getting really long games in Top Cuts.
Okay. Because I watch everything on 2x speed, so I'm not aware if this is an issue or not.
Okay. Next is going to be from Ronco, and it asks, besides Japan, Tokyo, what countries and cities are you looking forward to revisit? Barcelona was his personal favorite.
I would like to revisit Amsterdam. I will not be.
Thank you.
I will not be elaborating.
I want to revisit literally everywhere but
I would not like
the worst place we went.
I would like to revisit Amsterdam and have playable food, and everything else be the same. I loved Amsterdam.
Just maybe not Michigan.
No, I like.
You're like, you don't have to go to Amsterdam. Just go to like Michigan or any of these other states. Like it's not that big of a deal.
To have shitty food.
No, but I'm like very big on like revisiting places and doing like the same things I did the last time every time. I like getting the same food. So I'm excited to go back everywhere except Amsterdam because I got sick there. And
yeah,
I'm excited for London coming up.
I would not enjoy that.
Lucas is not, but
excited
I'm excited for London. London coming up. Yeah. Next. Cusco asks, with Worlds now concluded and coming up at the end of the year, what has been your favorite memory or your favorite event from this year that you play, and any goals for next year?
I won a calling, so that one.
I made the finals at a calling.
Dan,
that's about as good as it gets for me because I don't.
Did you win any calling?
Wait, did I do nothing this year? I don't remember my year. Well, I was gonna say first. We can start there. Wait, did I do anything this year?
You did well in Amsterdam.
Oh, I was so close.
You and I both.
Hard to call that my favorite event.
You did well at some callings, but you didn't top 8 any, I think, right?
I got second out of Battle Hearted. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember my year. I was gonna say my like best memories were like watching a lot of the guys from the team that haven't had like
Dalton and Noah.
Like Lucas getting his first win is like
me
huge. Dalton getting his first top 8. Noah finally not finishing
Yeah.
like 12th like he does every Pro Tour and getting top 8 was sick. And just like I had good moments with Lucas and Dalton when they made it.
Yeah.
Or like did the thing. I didn't have a moment with Noah, sadly. I was like playing.
I have the privilege of being the person who hugged Dalton when I top 8'd that event. Top 8'd Tampa. I gave Dalton his first hug after he top 8'd Nats, and I gave Noah his first hug after. I'm just the biggest cheerleader. Like when my friends are about to top 8, I'm there, like every single time.
Yeah, no, that's been my like highlights for
I was also
year, I think.
obviously there when I won, so I also could share that.
No, you shared it with Hamilton.
No, I share that with Fino. Fino picked me up, flung me around.
Goal for next year is the same as every year.
Top 8 a major. That's my goal.
Win a major.
Yeah, my
Wait, it had different goals. I thought of that.
My goal for it was actually funny. My goal going into this year was like, I don't care as much about callings and battle hardens. I want to top 8 a major. I did pretty well in some callings and battle hardens, but the major top 8 did not come. So that's still my goal. I'm really happy with my finishes, and I'm really proud of where I am right now on like lifetime earning leaderboards and elo and everything like that. But I would really like a major top 8. Yeah, that's my goal.
I'd like to win.
I remember my goals now.
I'd like to win an event.
Dude,
I have gotten all of the
battle
positions.
hardened. It's so sad. I have like 12 second places now in like tier 3 plus. But anyway, that's not my goal. My goals are get more educational content out there. Again, like overwhelming feedback at Worlds, like the old FI stuff and recent stuff too. But I want to put more out there for you guys. Have more fun playing. I have fun when I play, but trying to like loosen up a little bit. The third one was important. Oh, I very much am aiming to get back on track with like self-care, min-maxing outside of tournament, because I did a terrible job of that this year, and it definitely impacted me. Like, I think Japan was going to be hard for me regardless. Like, I knew that going in, like jet lag, all that, exhaustion. But if I was more physically prepped, I think it would have been a lighter tax. So that's the biggest goal, I think. Just put myself in the best position to feel good about
I would butt in before Cody goes real quick. If we're outside of just tournament finishes, I also would like to echo that educational content. I will personally be putting some stuff out soon that I hope people react to well. But I'm very excited to offer more to the community and to its members. So keep an eye out. Love you guys.
Cool.
As long as people want to listen, I would very much like to put some more stuff out there.
Codfather asks, how's a Zen looking post bans? What changes would you make to the deck for Portland?
Best deck in the game.
Yeah.
No, so like it's interesting. I think it gets like slightly
best deck
worse
against the format
meta position because CYB was just so very easy to beat of all varieties. And Dio was like very good. It's still like a kind of like on edge matchup. Like if they do the thing when you don't have the thing,
you never feel comfortable. But
there.
like I didn't. Yeah. I thought the matchup was really good though.
Yeah, from like a high level, yeah. His like best matchups are now gone. He still has good matchups, which is fine. He's more known now, so maybe people practice into him. Probably not for Portland. Like everyone's playing the Bazaar and taking a break from Flesh and Blood,
as they should be.
I'm
gonna play the Bazaar after this.
I'm not gonna change anything because
I'm probably not gonna play.
I need to like do things that I put off during World's Prep, so I'm probably just playing the same deck. I'll probably cut the cremation because
I'm not gonna play Talisman of Cremation.
Even like if people do play CYB, like Zen still has Passover, and I think I'm forever playing 3 Cosmic Awakening now. I feel like the more we say it, the worse it is for us when we play against people. Matter. But I love the card.
Yeah. Cut the Talisman. Put in another card.
Yeah.
I don't even know
whatever
what
you like. You like Flick Flack? Play Flick Flack. You like
it might have to be a blue for the new matchup. I'm not sure.
We'll figure. Yeah, I mean, there are some changes that you can make. I think that like the wheel kicks are maybe not necessary, stuff like that. But the core of the deck is not changing.
Yep.
I'll maybe change a couple.
Rinzo asks, "What are the decks to watch in Blitz after the bans?"
Does anybody here have any clue? My assumption is that Zen is still the best deck, and it's not close.
Yeah,
I actually played a little Zen and Blitz Wait, is
No.
Artivore legal?
Bombs is also.
Okay. I played a little of Zen and Blitz, and it was okay.
I think
Traverse is just
Yeah,
so
well,
broken. Like it's
and
kind of
yeah,
insane. in
like
Blitz.
you're just like the same deck. You just have 9 chi in 40 cards, and your opponent starts at 20. Like literally, like
Yeah, but all of the decks in this format can present 20.
yeah, but
Isn't
they
it-
can't.
I
I
have
don't
no
know. Like
idea.
the fact that you just get to be like, if I draw chi, I'm gonna do 15, and then I'm gonna draw chi because I have traverse. So like, it's so consistent, and you have armor block. Strides is also like really good in blitz because you just play like E-strike, and like if you
Yeah,
just draw it, you're
it's
just gonna draw a card.
Victor, Levia, Data Doll.
Doesn't Dash like blow you up too? If that deck is still legal. I don't know
Dash
what's legal.
IO is not legal, or IE isn't legal. Sorry,
Dash IE?
Dash IE is.
Oh, okay.
But
Sure.
Data Doll is legal. They just got something hit though. They got they banned
Hadron
Collider.
Yeah,
And-
everyone I've talked to about Blitz, it's Data Doll, Levia, Victor.
Yeah.
Oh, those are like probably top 3
Yeah.
or close.
I just have to imagine the Zen is good because like people haven't been testing the Zen because he was banned. But
I'm sure he's playable.
Cool. Well, that wraps up everything tonight. I need to go play the Bazaar. It's been like an hour and 30 minutes since I played the Bazaar. That's too long. So goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, we're getting rid of the envelope here,
7
but
envelope
What we could do
in
here is go ahead
darkness.
and play the envelope.
All 3 pitches of Envelope and Darkness.